So it looks like it gets a bit quiet now. We will keep admitting people who might turn up later on. Just first of all, I'd like to thank you, everybody. We are pleased to have you here virtually. And I'm going to start with a brief introduction. First of all, the introduction of the two of us. And very impolitely, I will start from myself because I want to explain how this event came about. I'm starting from what I'm not. I'm not an expert in testing, that's what you are, and I'm not an expert in AI, but I happen to be the Deputy Director of Masaryk University Language Center, responsible for the quality and strategic planning. So that's why I have a good idea of what's going on at the Language Center, and I'm a part of more or less everything. And I like talking about it. I like sharing what we do with other people. And this is exactly what happened in Durham at the CercleS conference. When I joined the testing SIG meeting and we talked about the latest developments in our testing. And after the meeting, Julia Zabala Delgado, who I believe is here today with us, the president of CercleS at the moment, approached me and asked me whether, that they liked what I talked about and whether I would be interested to prepare a webinar on the subject. My first reaction was, no, because I'm not the right person to talk about these things in detail, and that I have a better person to do it. So now it's the time for me to introduce the better person, Kateřina Chudová, my dear colleague. We call her Katka. Katka is the head of the Language Center unit at the Faculty of Law, because we are a large language center and we have individual units at the faculties. But more importantly, she is the one who plays with AI all the time, tests what it can do, looks for new options, customizes AI tools, writes codes, and I don't even have the vocabulary to explain what she does with AI. So I'm really happy that she agreed, or we together agreed to do this webinar together. I've already mentioned that we come from Masaryk University Language Center in the Czech Republic in the town of Brno. We teach law students, so we teach English for specific purposes, and we are lucky to have students who are at least B2, but very often C1 level. I have included the picture from the film Modern Times, because whenever we talk about automation, we tend to talk about slippery slopes, and I'm always reminded of this very old film when some automation was introduced, how everybody freaked out. I'm not going to discuss if the existence of generative AI is great or dangerous. I'm not going to talk about ethics today. We can discuss it at other times, but what we are going to talk about is about the tool that we use to make our life easier. First of all, I'm just going to give you some information about the background of what we do, and then Katka is going to take over and do what you all wait for, and that's the practical part of the webinar. So, generative AI, we all remember November 22 when everything started, universities started taking stands. Masaryk University immediately introduced some rules. They created a working group that should monitor, advise, and give some set some standards on the use of AI. And Kateřina Chudová is actually, you've changed your name, that's very convenient, thank you. Katka is actually a member of this university group that sets the standards. Very generally speaking, MU rules are like talking about the use of AI in student work in terms of form and in terms of content. Generally speaking, to use it to improve the form is perfectly okay. To use it for the content is problematic. Now, the Language Center teachers took various approaches towards AI in our lives, from supporting it, from denying that it really exists, all the way to threatening our students, banning it from our sessions. But that's all the past at the moment, and towards the future we decided together that we would like to embrace the new tool. And I have also included some literature that I think gives quite a good overview on AI in language education, so we don't need to give any lectures on AI. Yeah, that's at the bottom of the page. So since we agree that AI cannot be contested but rather ethically used, I myself started practicing the use of AI with my students, and we agreed on certain principles like awareness. We all know it's there, so let's not deny it, but let's use it well. Fairness, let's not pretend anything. We own our learning, so let's learn together with AI. Lots of discussion, so let's keep sharing our thoughts, our usage, and also own examples. So we keep telling students, we set our own examples, and we keep telling students what we use AI for. So there is enough transparency, and we build trust. When I say own example, this is something that we keep telling students, that AI has been used to prepare certain things. So for example, our new reading texts and exercises might have been created with the help of AI. Texts to create listening exercises, the scripts, quizzes, ideas for escape games that we prepare for our students. Pictures, I'm sure that you've noticed that the pictures are definitely created by AI, and they are all around the topic of AI in education. We ask AI for tips for new videos. Katka uses it to do reports from student feedbacks in CSV formats. And very importantly, we use it to create audio materials for teaching and testing, what we are going to talk about, so that the test materials are of similar length, level, task scenario, and so on. So students know that they will all be treated in the same way, that it doesn't depend on what test, which test form they are going to take. It's all going to be very of a very similar level. What I also tell my students is that they will never get feedback from an AI-generated feedback based on rubrics from me, because I want to read whatever they have produced. So we build trust. That's the idea behind it. So we use it for materials development and test task creation. I have written these yes, no, yes, no, yes, because there has been a lot of development. We've decided to try it on some stuff, and we thought that's no good. Then somebody said, oh, but it works when you do it this way. Well, it doesn't work that well. And now we are in the yes moment again, because new tools have emerged. We can customize generative AI. For example, we have been offered legal case creator by one of our colleagues from Switzerland, which works really well. So we are playing with that. And it's all very complex. So we need a lot of time to work with it, to develop these things. And there is a lot of washback between creating materials for teaching and test creation. So we are in a really turbulent process of creating the materials. But now we use AI to create some materials plus some task testing. And this is a peep into our test specifications. You can see that it is standardized testing, so there is nothing like too exciting about it, but we agreed, and that's like the general agreement, that it fits the faculty ethos. Our testing is pro-achievement. And what we are going to have a look at today is one of the listening tasks, the listening reception skills test, where we used to have a simple gap fill. So we had a summary of the listening with gaps in it, and students were just supposed to fill in words, but we were totally unhappy with that. We couldn't see any point in them doing it. We thought it was not doing much for us. So we decided to change it into something a bit more open, a simulation of note-taking. So we decided to go for a table where students were given questions, listened to some monologues by different people, and they were supposed to write in some of what they heard. Basically, in ESP, and if you work in the area of ESP and you've been looking for listening material for students, you know that it's usually a long journey to find something that fits what you actually want, what you need. So we decided to use AI to generate especially the listening tasks, just because it takes so much time to find the perfect listening, and then to find other similar listenings to get a better, bigger database of testing tasks. So we started from looking for something that's already there. Now we are actually generating even the first scripts, and in order to create a good test task. So we start from creating a perfect test task. When finding or creating the script, we convert it into the test task according to the test specification. And in this case, it's the table basically with the questions, and then the team is asked to have a look at it. We do the test task moderation. Then we have other people going through it, doing the task, so that we do very minor calibration, and then we finalize it when we think that that's how we want it to look like. Then we have to do more detailed specifications, because once it is done and we think it is perfect, we look at its features in more detail. So basically we have to concentrate on specifying the length, the speed, how much background noise we want in it. We have to go back and look at the level if it really fits. And then we need to describe properly the scenario, the testing scenario that's going on in the task. So we look at the structure of the test task, at the content that we want in the listening. We specify the vocabulary that we want to appear in the listening task. We want to specify the grammar structure that are being used, and that's how we can start cloning the test task or the scripts of the test task. And that's what you will be probably interested in listening to today. It's like how we do it, what prompts we do, how long it takes for us to do it, what hard skills you need to be able to use when preparing such test tasks. So Katka is going to take over. She is going to explain how we do it. We are going to have a look at some case studies. Then we will ask you to create some tasks in groups. And finally, we will leave some time for feedback and discussion and questions. So over to you, Katka.
Thank you. So I will take it from here. And I will repeat some of the things for you because I just want to justify and rationalize what I've done actually, how I approached this task, because it was actually my task in the summer of 2023 to come up with the scripts and test whether it's possible to use AI to generate test task or test items, as we call them sometimes as well. So first of all, I needed to think about what we actually need. What we needed was a particular number of items that we were testing. And just to make things clear, the listening that we will talk about today, and you already know because we hinted on it in the introduction, was not the first thing that we've actually tried. The first thing that we've tried creating using AI was a vocabulary translation exercise. Because in the past, what the students had to do was to take a term and translate it either into Czech or English. And that was kind of boring. So we were thinking how to make it more digestible and more practical. So we used AI to create short news stories that actually contained specific vocabulary items that we needed to test. And that worked fantastically. And that's what inspired us to use it even further for creating other test tasks. Oh my God, this is a tongue twister. But I promise I will learn to pronounce it properly by the end of the seminar. So test task. So basically we needed to think about how many items we want to test. Then we had to take into account distractors. We have to be within the boundaries of the Common European Framework of Reference, because that's what we promised that we align our tests with. And we are on B2 level, even though you've heard already that our students are somewhere between B2 and C1. And that's a very important piece of information, because you will see in one of my prompts that I actually prompt generative AI with C1 level. I will tell you why. Also, I think this is a great time to include a little, let's say, fun story that I experienced with generative AI. When I first wanted ChatGPT it was Gemini actually. When I wanted Gemini to create a text including distractors, it snapped back and said, "How dare you use distractors and confuse students?" So that was the first reaction of Gen AI when I wanted distractors in my text. So I needed to learn how to do it so that it worked well. So I first said, "Do you know what CFR is? Do you know what the distractors are? And then can you include them?" And the answer was, "Sure, I can." So that's another evolution and a fun story. I hope you're laughing now. I can see some smiles there. So another thing was the table. That's what Alena already mentioned. We didn't want a gap fill. We wanted something, let's say, more practical, because a gap fill is always words before, words after, and that's very simple, and it doesn't really test the understanding or comprehension of the students. So we needed something more life-related, something like note-taking. So that's what we decided for. And also something that is easy to compare. So ideally, magical number three people talking about the same thing. And that's where the brainstorming came into place, because during our 2-year course of legal English, we go through 15 areas of law. So we basically picked the most, let's say, realistic topics for stories, for experience of people. So we came up with issues such as divorce, probate, property, employment law, intellectual property, and similar. So now what happened in summer 2023, so last year in the summer, was that I had to sit down and write a super long prompt. This is actually it. I found it in my chat history. And I said, I'm working on new listening exercises for a legal English exam on a C1 level. And I think it's time to explain why, because in my experience by August 2023, I knew that ChatGPT, and that's my favorite tool actually, that's the one I use the most in the paid version, would come up with a very simple language. So I learned my lesson, and I know that if I prompt it with one level higher, it will do what I need actually. So that's just to explain that if I need B2, I actually prompted with C1. That's a lesson learned through experience and prompting repeatedly. And I had to explain that I teach at a university, it's a legal English course, that I had the idea of replacing gap fill with the table, and like what I was thinking about 3 people. That's really the very first prompt that I actually used. And it came with the stories, with 3 monologues, but I wasn't able to put the distractors there. ChatGPT just wouldn't understand what I needed, and I didn't have the time and energy to invest into prompting again and again. So what we did, we intervened as humans, and we delivered the distractors ourselves. Now, 1 year later, things have changed, and I'm sure if you use generative AI, if you use large language models, you already know. So the reality of 2024 is that now ChatGPT, and I'm not sure about other platforms that I use as well, but I don't pay. So just to explain, I pay for ChatGPT every month. It has a new feature since last month, and that's the memory. It remembers what you talked about previously. So that is such a fantastic tool or feature for me, because I don't have to repeat a million times. I teach at university, our course is 4 semesters. We go through these and these topics. We are on that level, and it actually builds on the experience with me. So that is fantastic. Also, another quite new feature, I don't know if you noticed, but 2 weeks ago, ChatGPT introduced something called Canvas. And I absolutely love this feature. If you haven't tried it yet, please try. You can get it when you click on the language model in the top left corner. You can actually choose which language model you use. So it's GPT-4.0 or 4.0 with Canvas. And that tool allows you to open another window on the right from the chat. And you can actually edit live, and ChatGPT reacts to your edits. So that is fantastic. The work with it, it's more fluid, more organic, and I find it really great. Also, the communication is much more efficient. It's just unbelievable how far we went just in 1 year. And also the input requirements are a little gentler, I would say. I remember last year when I started training teachers in using AI, I always said, you only get what you give. So your output is only as good as your prompt. So this is not valid anymore, because ChatGPT can outsmart the person who prompts, and they can actually deliver very good quality output, even with a very simple prompt. And wonderful thing that Alena actually talked about, she said that our colleague Matt Firth actually provided us with something called GPT, and that's like your own custom-made language model that you can design, and basically you program it, but this is not IT programming. program/design this GPT with your own information, with your own input. So for example, Matt designed it to create case studies based on something that he designed many, many years ago, but he just wanted to refresh them or update those case studies. And what we can definitely do, and I'm actually thinking of playing with it, is to design a custom-made GPT that would create these test items, and it would be trained to include the distractors, to include specific layout. I would definitely teach it the Common European Framework of Reference. I would definitely give it some sample test papers that we've already used with our students, and it will definitely be able to clone these test tasks. And all we have to do then, my favorite word, humanize the result. I will just show you, this is the screenshot of what it looks like. This feature is only available in the paid version. And no, I'm not paid by OpenAI, but I definitely recommend paying those $20 per month because it's so much worth it. So you can customize a version of your own GPT for whatever you need it to do. Also, in 2024, you don't need to spend so much time and energy on prompting. Why don't you use AI to help you build something that I call a perfect prompt? And that's what I tried actually 1 year later when I was preparing for this webinar. And that's what I do when I prepare or create other content using generative AI. Basically, get it to perfect the prompt so that you get the perfect result. You have to define the goal. So in our case, it was the exam listening exercise, and I will show you the prompt, the tweaked prompt on my following slide. You should share a desired result if applicable, if you have it. And I already had it because we created a table and we created like a master listening exercise. So we already knew what it should look like and what we expect. And if you can include that in the prompt, that's fantastic because you give a GPT or any other AI the inspiration. You should also establish rules. So that's basically the conditions or the settings, I would say, in IT language, what kind of level it should be, repetition, that's very important, especially if you create translation exercise. It's essential that the word, the term that the students should translate should not appear elsewhere in the text. So that's very important to keep in mind as well. And the distractors, because that's all, not all, but that's what B2, C1 level are about, basically. Iterate and adjust. It doesn't happen, and I hope everybody here knows that you can't expect miracles in one prompt, maybe 2 or 3, but definitely you need to repeat and try and test so that it is perfect. And obviously, as I said, test outputs. Then finalize the prompt and clone it. So what I did now was I asked ChatGPT to tweak. Tweak is a new important word in AI world. And I asked it to tweak my original prompt, the one that you saw 2 slides ago. And this is what I got from my GPT, original prompt refinement. And by the way, I just want to point out how I recognize that my students copied and pasted AI content or AI generated because it capitalizes things that I wouldn't. And some people are nodding, so you don't need the detector of AI generated content, because if you use it every day, you can tell, even the vocabulary choice reveals. So it refined the prompt, and as you can see, this is fantastic. Yeah, very logical. I would write it in one paragraph, but ChatGPT really played with it, and it really created an efficient prompt. So, and also it immediately asked me, do you want to test the prompt now? This is what it said about the key improvements. And that's something that I didn't realize last year. And I'm very happy that ChatGPT told me that AI often needs explicit instruction to include plausible distractors. I presumed last year that it knew what a distractor was, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should have explained first in detail. I just didn't have the time or energy, so I did it myself. So next time I will definitely try. Consistent structure and the table design. And Okay, I just let somebody in, so I need to, yeah. And this is what I got. Monologue 1, monologue 2, and the table with the key. I'm not going to show you more because that's going to be the surprise for you in the breakout rooms, because you are going to generate exercises for us. So you will be part of our team today. I actually copied this ChatGPT generated prompt, and I also used my favorite tool, and that's Claude. Can you just raise your hand if you know Claude? Or if you use it? Yeah, some of you. If you don't get to know Claude, yeah, 2 people raised their hand. That's very good statistics. I actually included it in the microsite that you received before the webinar, so feel free to explore. I'm sure you will like it. It thinks completely outside of the box, and I must say that it's a very nice balance to ChatGPT and other platforms like Gemini, Mistral, or a Copilot. And this is what Claude came up with. So you want to improve the prompt for creating listening exercises that focus on workplace issues. This is something that I would probably design my own GPT with. I would say, don't limit yourself to workplace issues only, and I would probably give it some inspiration or design it with everything that we've gone through with the students so that it's related to the lessons. And it even comes up with issues. My colleague always says that it's too talkative, but I actually like it because it really helps you get a new perspective on the thing. And this is what I got. Claude is very code oriented, so I got this sort of code, and I ran it with Claude, and this is what I got. So a completely different style, completely different vocabulary choice. I must say that Claude doesn't need that much editing. It doesn't need that much humanizing as ChatGPT. And if you mix those two, you get the, I don't want to say perfect result, but very decent result. So this is our test task. I still haven't learned it. So test task, this is what the students get. That's what the table looks like. And especially this thing that we have here, name one. Usually there will be 2 or 3 items that they can hear, but for our sake, for 1 point that they get, it's only 1 item that they need to put down. And we actually train them not to include more. We teach them that it's unnecessary, that is not going to maze us and get them another extra point. We just need that 1 item. So basically, where we are now, we have created the scripts. We've created 3 monologues about the same thing. So for example, divorce experience or probate experience. We have created a table. We have already humanized it in our team. My favorite term, human touch. You have to give it human touch. We moderate it, calibrate it. And now it's time to save money. Because in the past we would have to hire a native speaker to record the scripts. But fortunately now we have AI. So this is the AI touch that we add. And last year, in September 2023, the only available tool that we had, and that was a reasonable price, actually I paid for that, was Narrowkit. I also included it in the microsite, so you should have already checked what it looks like. So this is what you get. This is where you paste your script. And now let's listen together what you think about the quality of the sound.
I was recently dismissed from my job, and I believed it was unfair. I had been working for the company for over 2 years when they decided to let me go without a clear reason.
So what do you think? Does it sound okay? Yeah, so that's September 2023. Okay, so let's be tolerant. Last year it was fine. But then I came across something called, this is the logo, very interesting logo. It's 11 Labs, and I absolutely love this text-to-speech platform. And this is what I got maybe half a year later, so let's listen.
I was recently dismissed from my job, and I believed it was unfair. I had been working for the company for over 2 years when they decided to let me go without a clear reason.
So what do you think? Some people are nodding. Was that better? Yeah,
it was better.
Yeah. Yes, I think so. So I must admit that this is my favorite text-to-speech tool. I pay for it because you get, I don't know what they call it, number of, I think it's a number of characters that you're limited by, 10,000 characters or 10,000 words, I don't remember exactly, per month. And the price is reasonable. And if I compare hiring a native speaker, studio time, recording it, processing it, this is so much better, so much easier. And just so that you know, because I think we should also share information which is sort of dark and dangerous. The scary thing that 11 Labs can do is that they can take a sample of your own voice and create deep fake tracks, basically. So that's what happened to Stephen Fry, I think, the Harry Potter audiobook author. And it was a case last year, intellectual property and even maybe a human right case. So you can have a look at that. So basically what I got was tracks with these monologues. But now how do you put them together? You have to glue them together. And that's when the hard skills come to play. That's what Alena spoke about. And she also mentioned noise in the background to make the track more natural. Recently, we have created a very easy podcast style listening for the first year students, two students talking to each other. And Pixabay is the page that I go to when I need cafe sound. So if you want the people to speak in a cafe or restaurant, that's where you can get a free sample or free recording of the cafe noise and add it to your listening exercise. The hard skills are that now you have to take these MP3s. I hope everybody knows what an MP3 is. So that's basically the sound file, and you have to connect. I don't know how many of you are familiar with a program called Audacity, but that's freeware, very easy to use. I actually record music with it, so it's enough even for studio use. And this is what you get. This looks very physics oriented, but it's very simple to learn to work in it. And that's where you can actually glue the tracks together. You can play with the volume. Obviously, my software is in Czech, so this is quick course in Czech for you. You can even play with the volume, with the channels, like left, right, or whatever. You can make it stereo. You can really play around with it. Another version or another option is the online platform. And that's what I use with my students for a podcast project. That's what I tell them to use, something called Podcastle, and you have the link in on the microsite as well. This is what you get. As you can see, you can drag and drop the files, and this is how I created the chat between those two students in the cafe. So there would be sound in new track, there would be the sound underneath, and that's how you play with it, connecting and gluing the individual tracks together. I just want to mention one secret tip. That's what I learned from working with 11 Labs. Please save the characters. It doesn't pay if you copy and paste the whole script at once, because in my experience, and that's probably good news for humanity, AI is not that perfect yet. And in sentence 3 or 4, it starts making pronunciation mistakes. And I was shocked by it. So my experience and my lesson learned is convert sentence by sentence or short paragraph by paragraph so that you get fresh, let's say, track or fresh MP3. And that's how I did it. If it's a conversation, I basically created one short track after another, and then I connected it. It takes slightly more time, but I just want to save the characters or the number of words for you. So that's the lesson I've learned here. So I think I've spoken enough. I think you know like the basic information. So now over to you. We are going to divide you into breakout rooms. There should be 4 people in each room, at least. I don't know how it works. I will have to do the maths quickly. And your task will be to try your favorite AI. It could be GPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot. I don't know how many of you are familiar with something called Mistral.ai. If you're not familiar with it, I recommend. It's a French language model. They call it Le Chat. So Mistral AI, they claim they have their own language model, but to me, it seems very similar to GPT-4. so you can test it and try it. It's for free. So use your favorite AI, and we would like you to try creating one monologue. The topic is on you. Like, we would choose law, but if you choose gardening or natural science or whatever you teach and test, that's up to you. And we would like you to get AI to create a table with 3 comprehension items based on the monologue. I would also like you to tweak the prompt. So create your own prompt and then get AI to tweak it so that it's perfect, so that you get the result you want. And can you please discuss it? Maybe one of you can share this generating, and together you can discuss whether you're satisfied with the output, how you think it could be tweaked a little bit more. You can humanize it, add your human touch, and create the table. And then I would like you to use one of these platforms, probably 11 Labs, but you can use Narrowkey as well, to actually generate the audio. And could you try to download some background noise of your choice? It could be rock concert or library noise or whatever, or kitchen noise, whatever you find fit for the final product. I will share this link in the chat for you. If you go to this website, you will open a cloud folder. That's where we would like you to upload the results of your work. I'm sharing the live results. So 70%, 72% of you managed to create a monologue script, and the table 27% partially. And as I mentioned before, this wasn't meant to make you depressed or anything. This was meant to inspire you, to network, to try things that you may have not tried before, and mostly inspire, basically. So I hope you take it easy, no stress, no pressure. Next question was, did you manage to prompt AI efficiently? 7% said no. What happened? Who was it?
It's reducing to 6 now.
Oh, only 6%. No. Is it lack of training? But 60% yes, and 33% partially. Prompting is an art, I would say, and I hope you know or you're aware that there's something called prompt engineering. So it's even a new field, a new job, basically. And linguists especially should be at advantage, because linguists are good with the language, and they are very close in the mindset and thinking to large language models. So it should be a domain at which linguists are strong. And obviously it needs practice. But as I said, you can actually use AI to train you in prompting. So you can actually ask it to be your coach and to learn how to prompt. We couldn't click on the link. It disappeared before we could. So if you scroll up in the chat, you will find the links. Now, next question was, did you manage to generate the audio? 70% managed. How did it feel? Were you satisfied with the quality of the voice?
Awesome.
Yeah. Did you choose some beautiful voice? Male or female, Joseph?
We didn't actually choose. We just used the default voice. It was a female.
Okay. Excellent.
But I thought she was wonderful.
Excellent.
And we even got her to speak Korean.
Amazing. So I hope I don't have to sit that test. I would fail. Did you manage to mix in the background noise? 72% no. Was it because of lack of time? Good.
Yes, and where is this feature, Katka? Could you show us?
The picture, you mean, of what?
Of mixing, adding background noise.
Oh, the noise, that's something you have to download from Pixabay. So you have the...
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We did, but on 11 Labs, where is this feature?
Not 11 Labs, but Podcastle. Yeah, so Pixabay is this, and then when you download something like here, stylish deep electronic music or whatever, and if you then go to Podcastle and you would start the new project, yeah, like create project, and then that's where you would have to like move, drag and drop the file that you created, that you generated, and that's where you can play with it and mix it. But that's really time consuming. I just wanted to share this with you so that you can play with it and just to inspire you that one monologue might not be enough, that you can actually connect those individual tracks into one file, into one thing. And Podcastle is fantastic. It's really, you can even record that. That's something I don't recommend to my students because I always say use multiple devices to record, like phone, tablet, laptop, and then mix it together. You can import files. You can even generate speech here in Podcastle too. And that's actually a mini chat that we had with Alena during our breakout. How work with AI has really transformed in the past year. That, for example, she mentioned that I process students' feedback using ChatGPT. I did last year, but I don't anymore because actually Google Forms or Microsoft Forms have their own AI feature that helps you process these results or the data. So this is really transforming, and it's really difficult to keep up with all the changes and make, I would say, efficient decisions as to which tool you actually use for what. And next question was, what are you taking away today? Idea of using ChatGPT, better prompts, stages of the process, test tasks. I still haven't learned it, I'm sorry. Different functionalities, lovely tools. And the last question, do you have any questions or comments? So maybe I will click on this. Thank you. Oh, we thank you. It does take time to get used to using the platforms. Too many. Oh, we are sorry for overwhelming you. Thank you. Time was a bit short to complete all the tasks. I know. Have to think first. It was great to collaborate. We ran out of time. Just needed more time to develop the question items. We were able to generate the thing, but not the best items. I know. No, dear, thank you. We thank you.
May I pass one message on to my fellow members of Group 10?
Sure.
We never got around to putting it on audio, but I just slipped our monologue into 11 Labs, and it's incredible how ticked off our law client sounds. It's like they channeled the low-level anger that we wanted to see in what was going on.
Exactly, and that's quite a new feature too. I'm very happy you reflect on that because that's something I couldn't generate a year ago, but as of this summer I can because they upgraded the platform, 11 Labs, I mean, and now it can sort of read between the lines and it can really do emotions.
Yeah, it really senses this kind of business-like low-level anger. It's really interesting in that respect.
So, Ali, if you want to wrap it up.
Well, I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us today for the webinar, and I'm really happy to see how much work you've managed during those 35 minutes in your individual groups. So it's very positive. I'm sure if you have any questions in the future, you can contact us and ask. What I'm sure of, however, is that when you ask, like, what was the feature that you used to do this, Katka will reply, oh, I don't use that one anymore. There is something better that I use at the moment. Okay, so it's been wonderful to have you. It's been wonderful to see you. Thank you very much, Katka, for doing the hard job today, sharing all that wonderful stuff that you do with us. And have a nice evening. Bye-bye.